This whole virus situation gives us an opportunity to develop a very powerful personal quality. This personal quality is known in Hasidus, in applied Jewish mysticism, as da'as. And the word da'as literally means knowledge, or da'at in modern spoken Hebrew. In its Hasidic meaning, it doesn't just mean knowledge isn't something that's in your head, information that you're aware of. We have a different word for that. That word is bina, which is understanding. But da'as is when something's real to you. And how do you know when it's real to you? Because it affects your behavior. And not in the way that you have to force yourself to do a certain thing, but that because of an understanding in your head, it makes sense automatically you would behave in a certain way. So imagine if every time we found out what the right thing to do was, immediately we could put it into action. This is the quality of das. And you can develop it in a certain area. And when you do so, you're also developing your personal quality of das in general. That you should be strengthened to, every time you learn something good, be able to automatically put it into action. And so, for example, when you're driving on the highway and everybody slows down. And why does everybody slow down? Because they see a police officer by the side of the road. So they were speeding before. Suddenly they see a police officer. Now they drive much more slowly. Why? Because a police officer is real to them. It registers with them what a police officer is. Now, if the police officer pulls you over, then they're going to take some money from you. That's real to people. And they're going to take your ID and they're going to sit in their car for 45 minutes while you're getting progressively later to the thing you were speeding toward in the first place in your time. Time is real to you. Time and money are not abstract things. So we don't have to force ourselves to act in such a way as to hold on to them. If time wasn't the real thing to someone, they wouldn't be speeding in the first place. They wouldn't be in such a hurry to get anywhere if they didn't realize that the clock is ticking. But the bigger question is, why were people speeding before they got to the police officer? Obviously, speeding, there's a reason that they have laws about speeding. It's obviously very dangerous to speed in your car. And moreover, the consequences of speeding in your car are much more potentially severe than if you should be pulled over by a police officer. But the difference is that it isn't real to someone, unless they have some personal experience with it being real. Heaven forbid that should be the case for anyone. But it's kind of an abstract matter. The risks of speeding in your car on the highway. It's not something that we encounter every day. It's not something that's as in your face as time and money. So das in driving safely is that the benefit of not speeding and the risk that is offset by not speeding, that these things are so real to someone that automatically they would drive the speed limit. And it wouldn't be because there's a police officer there. The consequences of a police officer are really nothing compared to why you would want to drive safely. So too by this virus situation, that spreading a disease that you don't have any symptoms of, we all know that this is the basic nature of the thing. This information is readily accessible on the internet. All of the major world public health organizations have published things. You can find it in 5 minutes on the internet. We know the information, and we know what we're supposed to do. We know we're supposed to stay inside. We know we're supposed to, if we have to go out, only for essentials, the masks and the gloves and the washing of the hands and staying 6 feet away from people. And it seems to be, from the evidence in the countries around the world, that if everybody actually does all these things, then the disease, it doesn't have anybody else to host off of, and it, so to speak, flattens the curve. So the basic things we're supposed to do, we know what these are. These are not difficult. The scientists already figured it out for us. We can just find it on the internet. So the difficult part is making ourselves do it. And so to make it not difficult, we just need a little das. It needs to be real to us what this virus is all about, what it can do, the fact that it spreads even though you don't have symptoms, the fact that it spreads exponentially. We don't really deal with exponents in our day-to-day life so much. We deal with addition. You buy a little bit more tissue paper, then you have more tissue paper. It's addition. This issue of, if 2 people become infected, it turns into 100. If 3 people become infected, it turns into 1,000. Now, those are not exact numbers, but this sort of calculation we don't really have to do in our day-to-day life. So it's abstract to us. So there's 3 approaches to incorporating information in our head into das, so that it affects our actions as an automatic process without us having to fight for it every time. And so one of them, you can use the case of the speeding, is that someone comes face to face with the dangers of speeding in the car. Heaven forbid they get in an accident or something. And chances are, after this situation, someone is going to realize they really shouldn't be speeding. Had they not been speeding in that instance, then they wouldn't have had such an accident. You could use any sort of reckless driving. You could use driving under the influence, anything like that. And then they have das, and then they drive safely after that as a matter of automatic course. And heaven forbid anybody else should have to obtain das in the nature of this virus in that sort of way. Another method is by contemplation. If you spend sufficient time and depth of thought on contemplating the nature of a thing in which you wish to obtain das, this is generally what we have to do for big spiritual Hasidic concepts. This is one of the primary methods of incorporating this information into das, so that it affects our emotions, affects our actions automatically. And this method works. It's not necessarily so easy because you have to think in a very concentrated way and do quite a bit of it. And it's not so fast. In the meantime, while you're trying to think your way into automatically behaving according with all the health guidelines every science organization is posting, public health organization is posting. In the meantime, someone might be going to the grocery store and bumping into people, squeezing behind people, taking their mask partially off in the street just because I don't really feel like wearing a mask. There's this battle. Do I really have to put on gloves? I'm just going to the store's close by. Really, do I have to do this? That whole conversation. So you can contemplate yourself out of such a conversation, but it doesn't happen overnight necessarily. And there's one more method that would be my proposed method for this, which we use the term in applied Jewish mysticism, Chassidus, we use the term Kabbalas Oil, which means accepting the yoke. Which is at first, you make yourself just do it. Now, the goal of it is not to just do it the whole time, in this case. The reason you make yourself do it is because then after you've been doing it for a week, you're going to look at yourself and notice you're doing it. It'll become somewhat habitual, should. And they go, what am I doing this stuff for? And then you'll have the information in your head, and you'll have the behavior in your hands and feet. And then you can make a link. And the advantage of this method is that it's fast. You start doing the right thing right away. And when you combine it with, I'm trying to link this with the information in my head, so it becomes real to me, with that intention, then it becomes real to you. I'm a person that puts on a mask and gloves when I go out. I'm a person that avoids standing within 6 feet of people when I go out. I'm a person that only goes out if I need food or medicine, and not just because I feel like it. As opposed to I'm a person who is making myself do these things even though I don't want to, and so sometimes better is just I'm a person that does this. What do you want? That's das. And that's a quality that is extremely useful in developing any skill, learning anything, making any knowledge become part of our behavior, making it real to us. And particularly in these times, we have an opportunity, and I would say an obligation as well, to acquire this quality of das. And not only for the sake of avoiding spreading this virus or getting away from a bad thing, but also because das in itself is a very good thing. So all the things going forward should be only very good things.